Hi guys, welcome back. Today we got to work on the dot, and what we're having, the issues we're having with the dot is a no crank, and it's kind of intermittent. Sometimes it does it, sometimes it doesn't. I know it's not the battery, so the only other thing it can be is it's either a chassis ground or it's the engine ground, one or the other. So we need to look into that now. When it does act up, you crank the ignition 10-15 times, and eventually it'll do something. So we just need to fix it. An easy fix. Let's get to it. All right guys, let's see if it starts. All right, started this time. It doesn't always. Let's pull it in the garage and take a look. Just so you guys know that I did check the battery, let's check it together. And the battery is over 12 volts, so we know the battery's good. That's not an issue. And we replaced this battery not too long ago. I don't see the actual manufacturing date on this, but this battery I don't even think is a year old. And we bought a Duralast. This battery was not cheap. I think it was $180, close to $200 for that battery. This right here, it's the ground lead, and you guys can see down there. Let me. This light has a tip light. You can see down in there. The ground wire goes down underneath the battery tray. This car has a cover underneath the bumper cover, and if you pull that down, it pretty much opens up the whole underside of the engine bay. So we are going to do that now. Show you what's going on here. All right, this one right here, this one right there, not a lot of room, sorry about that, is the actual engine ground itself. That doesn't look too bad, but if you look up top here, I'm trying to make it so you guys can see. Let me put the light on tip. Okay. Now, if you look right up here, if you guys can see it right there? This guy right there? You can see the green corrosion on it. That's the chassis ground. And I am going to take that off, wire wheel everything, clean it all up, and that should fix our problem of the no crank. You can see it is corroded, so it's not getting a good connection from around. So I'm going to do that off camera because there's no room to work. All right, guys, the way I cleaned it up was I used a combination of, let me get that out of there. I used a combination of some 120 grit sandpaper and a Dremel, because I wanted to clean the screw up on the chassis, but there's no room to get up there with a regular drill with a wire wheel, so this worked fine with a small wire wheel. I got up there. I'm going to show you how it looks up top. All right, guys, you can see here, you're able to see both in one shot here, which was, I'm like pretzeled. My arms are all in a tangle right now. Anyways, you can see the chassis mount up top. What I did was I took everything apart up there, cleaned it all up really good, and then I sprayed it with lithium grease. It starts way better than it ever did. So that was the problem. That was the problem the whole time. Alright guys, this is what it's doing. Turn the key and it doesn't do anything. See? Nothing. But we have full power. So I did all the body grounds and nope, nothing. Alright, that escalated quickly. So I cleaned up all the grounds, chassis ground, motor ground, all that stuff. Started right up, you guys saw, I took it outside. Did the same thing all over again. It's the starter. I pulled the starter out, and my son's on his way to get a new one right now. So let's go over what I had to do actually. So I had to pull the ECU or ECM or whatever you want to call it, the computer. I had to pull the battery. I had to pull the battery tray. I had to pull the lower skid. It's not really a skid plate, but the plate that goes on the bottom covering underneath the engine. I had to pull that. As you can see up here, all the things I had to do. You can't really see it right now, but this top starter bolt is on the top of the engine up here. and it goes in this way. And then on the bottom of the car, the other bolt goes in this way on the bottom. And what I did was I took a couple of jumper leads, hooked them up to the battery, and then I'll show you my trigger. Let me give you guys, show you what that looks like. So then I have my starter trigger here, and a couple of leads. And I hooked that up to the solenoid trigger. And the first few times I did it, the starter worked normally. You pull the trigger, armature would come out, starter would spin. And then after the starter started getting warm, you pull the trigger, the armature would come out, but the starter wouldn't spin. So what I did was I took the power terminal from the battery and put it to the opposite side of the solenoid, which makes the starter fire all the time. And so what I did was I pushed the armature out, hit that, and it worked fine. So it tells me that the solenoid is gone on the starter. Unfortunately, you can't replace the solenoid, you got to replace the whole starter. So the starter drive itself was fine, solenoid wasn't. So when we get that back, we're going to throw it in, and that should cure our problems. All right, it's been a couple of days, and life kind of gets in the way, but we had to order a starter, and the starter is here. And this is the starter. There it is, nice and new, and we should be good to go now. And this is one of those high torque starters. All right, let's get this installed. All right, guys, there was some corrosion on here, some rust and stuff, so I hit it with a wire wheel. This is the oil pan. Hit it with a wire wheel and threw a little black paint on it to try to slow that down so that the oil pan doesn't rot through. All right, guys, this is kind of hard because there's not a lot of room here, but I'm going to try to show you. So this wire right up here, let's see if I can come down here. This one right here has to go on the starter first, and you have to take this off. This is your power lead right here, and if you don't take this off, you can't get the starter out of the hole, which is right here. And this is your trigger wire for from your key switch to your solenoid to trigger it. This was not easy. This was not easy to get off. I had to stick a long screwdriver up there and pop it off in order to get the starter out. So it should be fun getting that back in. I do not have enough room to show you guys installing this. I'll come back once it's done. All right, guys, the starter's in, and I'm going to tell you right now that was not easy. And just trying to get, I don't know if you can see way up in there, just trying to get that power feed back on that starter. I had to use these pliers right here, and I had to reach way up in here like this, and I grabbed the hole in the wire tab, closed in on it, and I was able to pull it down and then with a screwdriver pop it on. It was not easy. And up here, as you can see, the trigger wire, the plastic cap on the trigger wire was messed up, and I couldn't get it to go back on. It wouldn't clip on. It just kept sliding off. So I had to take it apart, and I'm trying to see if you guys could see up there. What I did was I just took some heat shrink, and I'm trying to, let me get the light so you guys can see it anyway. A little bit better if you can see that up there now. I used some heat shrink on there, and I took my heat gun and I pointed it up there, and it shrunk it down really nice. And now the wire is protected and it's clipped on there solidly. Again, this was not easy by any means. There's no room to work in here, and you can't even get two hands in at one time. But it's done, and now we're going to move up top, and we are going to finish up. All right, back up top. So as you guys can see here, I had to take the computer out. It was mounted on the side there. We're going to put it all back together now. I had to do it. I didn't have a choice. There was no way to get down and back of here with all this stuff in the way here. I had to get down and back of here, way down and back, to get the top bolt to the starter. Unless you guys know an easier way, that's how I did it, and it seemed to work for me. All right, I'm going to start mounting up now. I think the first thing we need to do is to put this back on, and this is the piece that you mount the computer on. So I am going to bolt that on now. All right, this is on, nice and sturdy. Now it's time to put the computer back. And it can only go on one way. There's 2 holes here, 1 hole there. Let's put this on there now. And whatever you do, don't forget the ground wire right here. That goes on there. The bigger nut goes on the ground wire. And then the other 2. Alright, that's on there. Good and sturdy. Now we'll plug our plugs back in. That's 1. 2. Alright, let's pop in the battery. Let's put the clamp back on. Now the ground. Let's give it a start. Sounds good to me. All right, I think we're in good shape. Now all I gotta do is I gotta button up the rest of it. I gotta climb underneath. I gotta get this engine protector, or it's not really a skid plate, it's like made out of felt. I'm gonna put that back underneath, put the engine cover back on, which is right here, and that's it. So guys, you can see here that troubleshooting, it's not foolproof. What I would suggest, if you have a no crank, no start situation on the Dodge Start, first check your engine grounds, check your chassis ground. Make sure that you eliminate that first, because as you saw in the beginning of this video, that was the easiest thing to check. Come to find out, it ended up being the solenoid on the starter. The armature would come in and out, but the solenoid would not trip the starter to actually rotate. It would do it once in a while, but once it got warm, it wouldn't do it anymore. So that was the problem. New starter, new car. All right, guys, thanks for watching. We're going to be getting back on the ATV stuff in the next video. So stay tuned for that. And happy holidays, because this video will be out before Christmas and New Year's. So happy holidays.